Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very sinister, socially distanced episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Now, you may have noticed our muted reaction.
We sound different.
We do sound different, but also, I mean, like right off the bat, our intro, we didn't cackle maniacally, because if we do that, it will overload this fragile system that we're working with, which is Zoom. And we don't blame Zoom.
No.
We are video
amazing that we can even do this.
Yes.
But what we're doing, what this is that Monster Party is doing our first Zoom episode because due to some circumstances that you might be aware of,
yes,
we shouldn't be together in the same room.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe we'll learn something from this. Maybe we shouldn't be in the same room.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're doing this episode because we want to make sure that we get Monster Party out to you.
That's right. Nothing's going to stop us.
Fans. Nothing will stop us. No pandemics. We are going to keep going.
Keep moving forward.
Yeah. When James is the first one to come down with COVID-19, he's going to do it directly from his bed.
Right. Through his ventilator, if he has one.
Yeah. No, that'll add a nice creepy effect, you know?
Right.
Kind of a Darth Vader thing.
Well, this is great, but who are you, sir?
This is great, but I am Matt Weinhold.
I am SHAWN Sheridan.
I'm Larry STROTHE.
And I'm James GONIS.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be great. All right. Well, let's slog through this.
Well, yeah, let's Matt, you should say the premise of what this episode is.
Thank you, Sean. I think I will. Considering everything that's going on, the topic for this episode is Quarantine Funhouse.
Quarantine Funhouse.
Quarantine
Funhouse.
Yes,
James. Yes.
It's like James is talking to us from the moon. Or he's Sean, who's the Thunderbird who's in the station?
Yeah, one of the Tracy.
He's like 5 or 6 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So look, this may seem a little weird to our listeners, but we are banding together.
Yeah, we were
continue to bring them Monster Party.
Right. Nothing is going to prevent us from doing new episodes.
And since almost all of the world really are doing their best to self-quarantine, as we are, you might get a little bored. Maybe you get a little bit stir crazy.
Yeah.
And you're trying to think of ways to occupy your time. And so we are going to help you with that. We are going to come up with maybe films, maybe activities, whatever, to make the time when you're staying in your home with just your loved ones, maybe a little bit more fun.
Right. Yeah.
Or maybe you're by yourself. Who knows? There's a million things you can do. Does anybody have a million?
Fun things that like the Monster Party or nerd can do while stuck at home.
Yes. Well, first of all, there's an obvious thing, a big obvious thing. Okay.
Yes.
Like if you're like us, I imagine that you have a collection at home.
That's right.
How often your collection grows or whatever, and then there's sometimes when you're busy working and stuff, and then you look at your collection and go, gee, I really need to dust that collection. Well, I'll get to it. Now is the time to dust off that collection.
That's right.
Now, I think it's interesting, Larry, that you brought up that what you're going to do with your collection is just dust.
Yes, well,
and I know that dusting is important.
Oh, yes, it is.
However, I would add to this, if you collect things, maybe you have stuff that's kind of willy-nilly across your home, your room, whatever. It's on a shelf. What I would suggest is now through IKEA or maybe other stores, you might be able to get a glass case. Maybe they can deliver it. Maybe you can just pick it up. I don't know how these things work entirely, but for me, that's been the fun that I've been having since quarantine. I have these glass cases that I got.
Yes.
And I'm filling the cases. that's a good weekend right there.
Yes,
Sure.
but I got a question for you. You said you have your collection and it's willy-nilly. When you mean willy-nilly,
I didn't say me.
no, okay, because I wasn't sure if you meant like you've got Battlestar Galactica figures next to Kiss figures, next to Star Wars figures, and it's all mixed up. And it's like, oh, that's too crazy. I need things in little sections. Here's the Battlestar Galactica section. Here's the Star Trek section.
I think this is you. Those are your rules. When I said willy-nilly, I meant things like that just happen to be on shelves. They're not in a case necessarily.
Right. Like if
you've just started your collection, you're like, oh, I bought this because it's cool. I'm going to put it over here by the plant.
Yes,
and then I got this Godzilla figure, and I'm going to put this over here by the window. But the minute you get that glass case and you go, oh, what I can do is I can make the collection almost a piece in itself.
Right.
By packing this case.
But if I could suggest, don't put the Godzilla figure by the window because the sun will come in and it'll discolor it. Unless, of course, it's that cheap China one. The one that from China that was kind of like it was a thick plastic and a bad paint
one,
job.
right?
Yeah. It's hard.
The big eyes, the badly painted eyes.
Yeah, and I see it all the time. It's very common. These are not
the one
rare.
that people use on YouTube.
Yes.
Sometimes when they're like doing a Godzilla piece.
Yeah. Like Sean has an amazing Bondi Godzilla collection, and they're all Bondis. And then there's
oh my god, you just complimented Sean's collection.
Yeah, but then there's that cheap Godzilla one. It's like my mom got me one. It's like I couldn't put it next to the other Godzillas. I felt it wasn't worthy to be in the same section.
But like Matt, I do appreciate the fact that you have like the glass cases because that's cool. I guess one thing, Gina and I, my wife, we've gone so far as to have an entire separate room that is just for our toys and our collection.
And through the magic of Zoom, we can see
in the background, yes. And we actually had customized shelves put in. And, we've thought about the glass covers, and it's just something we haven't done yet. And maybe someday, because it does add to the dusting, but I do kind of like the immediate access to be able to kind of pick them up and look at them, so yes, there's more dusting to be done when you don't have the glass cases.
Yes. But what you have done is you have displayed them nicely. And I think that Larry, you would approve because Sean really has done what you have said to do.
Kind of, yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, the thing I do like about Sean's collection, the way he displays it, is he does have sections. Like there's a Star Trek section, and some stuff bleeds. Some stuff bleeds a little bit, but but I would say I love seeing Sean's collection. The one thing I don't like, let me take that back. I love his collection because he tries to keep it in sections. He doesn't mix. He doesn't have a Star Wars figure next to a Twilight Zone figure next to Battlestar Galactica figure. It's all like mishmash together. He really has them in sections. So I'd like to compliment you, Sean.
Well, thank you. And Matt, like what you had said about like random things around the house. Like when I was, back in the day when I was like a swinging bachelor,
I remember.
I lived by myself in a little apartment and a little bungalow, and I didn't have big shelves, so I kind of had stuff all over the place, So once Gina and I got into this house, we saw this extra room. It's like, let's put all the stuff into that one room, And so it's like it's the fun room, It's the room where all the cool stuff is.
It's funny you should say that, Sean. Because when James was a swinging bachelor, he had a whole room that was wall to wall to wall.
We've discussed this before.
God's. It was amazing.
But now, when it comes to theming your collection,
right?
What I would like to know is, I would assume that there would be exceptions to the rule.
Sure.
For example, let's say you collected Soakies. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Soakies, those little shampoo things. Yeah.
But little bottles of shampoo that look like, well, they're not little. They're actually about
12 inches.
12 inches, yeah.
Yeah.
They were molded in the shape of various cartoon characters.
Yes.
Pop culture personalities.
Yes.
And I would think that it'd be okay to put, say, Batman and Bugs Bunny Soakies together because they're all Soakies.
Yeah, the theme of the type of toy.
The type of Pez, for example.
I agree.
Yes, I totally agree. like you said, Pez, like Mego figures, for example.
Yes.
If you had Planet of the Apes and Star Trek and superheroes, they're all Megos. That's acceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, but with the glass case idea, though, IKEA, you can get them for $60. You add another $8 light to it, and you got a nice display.
Yeah.
And so I really do say that the minute I put stuff behind glass, it took on a quality that was just different than it was before. It seemed more important.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like a museum piece.
Yeah, and it does cut down on the need to dust, right?
Dusting is much better, yes.
Yeah. I'm curious, like Larry, for the stuff that you don't have in packages and you have in display, how do you dust your stuff, especially when it's like, some fragile toys?
Right. Yeah, I try to do it every 6 months. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
There's some pieces that I need to clean off a little more often.
Right.
But what I do is I have a feather duster.
Okay.
And everything varies. There's some things that you can do lightly. If I could have brought the feather duster and done an example for you, but I could have
this is not
lightly over the top.
That would have been great, Larry. You know what? I say go find it.
He's
go
asking me a question.
Wait.
No. But what I'll do is it's like two things. One, there's a feather
duster. You have
duster.
a French maid costume that you wear as well?
No, I do not. But a feather duster, that's something I use because and you have to be really careful because, like, for example, the AHI creature that I have, the paint on him, it's prone to like peeling.
Sure. Yeah. I would think that a feather duster is like too cumbersome and big for, that's for a really big, simple thing. We'll use that. But my method is I'll take maybe 3 different little paint brushes of varying lengths and tape them together. So there's like 3 brushes on the end together and use it to like the nooks and crannies of every little model or action figure.
Carrie and I use that for something else.
Sean, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Sometimes, when they get dusting, you have to really get in there on a delicate toy. You have to it's extremely time consuming. Like Gene and I we're way overdue to dust our shelves. We have to do it. And now with this social distancing situation, we're going to have to do it soon. It's a good time to do it because.
Wait a minute. Do you think the figures are going to give COVID-19 to each other?
No.
Are you going to put the figures in different rooms?
They're collecting dust.
That's true. But so it's quite an arduous task, but it can be fun too. Play some music and we take breaks and come back and do it.
Yes. You make it. It's an event. It's an event.
I just get the hose. I just get the hose from the backyard.
Yes. Okay. That's very funny. You don't get the hose. Air
canisters I use too. Air canisters are good.
Yes, but the air canister won't exactly take the dust off like a Mego head.
It's a combination.
And
the rubber holds the dust.
Mm-hmm.
And the canned air, the level of ferocity as it's coming out of the nozzle.
Yeah, you can
sometimes knock over your figure.
Yes. I'll pick them up and handle them and clean them and put them back.
Don't say that while Larry's listening.
It's the whole thing.
No, come on.
I'll take all the toys off of one particular shelf, dust them all, dust the shelf, and put all the toys back. It's a whole thing.
How often do you guys lick them?
Well, no, you do like one shelf at a time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But don't you guys once a month just lick them?
Maybe
just to mark your territory.
Licking.
I lick each one.
No.
In a different place.
No, so licking is not good, especially on this show. And we shouldn't be licking
especially
anything.
On this show.
What does that mean?
It means it's in light of the whole virus.
I'm licking my own figures. I didn't take my figures out to the store.
Okay,
they've been sitting in my house forever.
Okay. Let's say some clown comes over and goes, shit, and sneezes.
No clowns are coming over.
I'm just saying.
No clowns are coming over. They're not allowed to come over.
I put little tiny sanitizing masks over every one of my Mego figures just to keep them safe.
Well, as you guys know, all my stuff's been in storage for a long time. I can't wait to take it out and clean it.
Right.
And then, as far as a display, what I look forward to doing is theme shelves where I do confine everything, even a Soki. If it's a Yogi Bear Soki, it's going to be on the Yogi Bear shelf.
Well, that's cool. When you have a pop culture character that there's so much so many different kinds of toys, like Spider-Man, for instance. You could have an entire wall of just Spider-Man themed stuff. That's another way you could do that, right?
Part of the beauty is that it's your collection, so you're the master of your domain. You can do whatever you want, and that's part of the satisfaction of it. I am thinking of incorporating multimedia, though. Like if I have a shelf with Ultraman figures, to include Ultraman DVDs and Blu-rays and books that I'd gotten from Japan.
That's cool.
That works.
Like an Ultraman throne.
Yeah.
When you said multimedia, what I was thinking, and this would be cool, is that let's say you've got a shelf that has Ultraman stuff on it. Then in the corner of the shelf or above it or, near it somehow, you've got a screen.
Yeah.
It's playing a loop.
Oh, yeah.
Of Ultraman fights.
Like a museum, Matt.
Yeah.
See,
that's cool.
Sean, that's what you need. You need little monitors that can show little scenes.
I have thought about
now's the time to do it.
Yeah, because our one room is like, it's the toys, it's the DVDs, it's like the CDs. I have thought about like having a screen like in the corner of the wall or something, always running like a loop of trailers, and that would be really, when people come over, that's like, like you said, like thing. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, for sure.
All right, yeah, now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah, I love that idea. Love that.
Now, one of the things that I plan on doing, and I've been doing a little bit of it since this thing has started, is I have been digging out all the materials that I need to do custom figures.
Oh, nice.
And one that I put together, which required no work at all, really, was I built a Stephen Chow from Kung Fu Hustle figure. And all I needed to do was I found the body, I found a traditional martial arts uniform, and then I found his head. And it came together, and look at that.
No way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And this head, I'm showing the guys, looks so much like Stephen Chow, and I got it for maybe $20.
Wow. That's really good.
It took a little while to get here.
Nice.
It came from China. I Purelled the hell out of it.
I was going to say.
Before I touched it.
Yes.
But this is something very simple that you can do. And if you know how to compare prices on eBay, you can have some fun with this and maybe not spend too much money.
Right.
But I also have a lot of extra bodies and extra Amigo heads and things that I bought over the years. Like, I'm going to make a custom figure for this.
That's cool.
And I never got around to it. And now is the time. Is this something that interests any of you guys?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because as a kid, I did a lot of modeling. I did a lot, of course, we all had the Aurora model kits, but even later I did some, even like some airplanes and stuff like that. I got into it for a little bit, but then, as I got older, I just didn't have the time and patience, But since I've been, stuck at home as well, I've had this garage kit for a while, like probably over a year. I got it on eBay a long time ago, and it's a garage kit of the 6-fingered hand from the Chiller Theater opening. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
That was one of the earliest things I remember watching as a kid, Chiller Theater, late night TV with that hand. And it's a super basic kit. But, like when you get garage kits, especially, there's all that, I don't know what they call it, but that extra plastic lining along the edges. Like when there's
Is it flash? Do they call it flash?
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Garage kit builders would know what I'm talking about. It's like, It's not like a factory made thing. So you have to kind of cut away the extra little bits and pieces. So I've done that. Yeah. But I have to, because I can't really go out to a hobby store, I'm going to have to order some paint like on Amazon or something so I can paint and put it together. But I just took it out because it's really cool and it's easy to make. But that's something I never would have thought of, while stuck it here. But James, I think you have that kit too, right? Do you have it assembled and painted?
No, I never had the time to do that, but I think I got it maybe 20-something years ago.
Wow.
At a show. It might have been the Famous Monster show.
Okay, yeah. There may even be a couple. Yeah, there may even be a couple different kits of it, but this is but it's cool. It has the little Chiller letters, and it's just really cool. So yeah, like model kit building, I never thought I'd be doing again, but
the little tree, the Baron.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. So that's cool.
See, I want to do the same thing because I have a lot of kits. And they range between garage kits, which require quite a bit more work. than your
Right,
regular model kit that you buy in the hobby store of like the Enterprise or Frankenstein monster or whatever, because those connect together relatively seamlessly. You can see the seams, but when you put it together, it just looks good.
Right.
Whereas sometimes with garage kits, you have to do a lot of sanding.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. It's an investment.
That's why I don't like the garage kits as much. I mean, I had some, it's funny. I remember getting back in the 80s a garage kit of a Gort robot from Lunar Models. And I was so excited because, they show you a finished picture of what it's supposed to look like. And I order it, I get it, and I look and I go, the skill level is just way above my abilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I prefer is something like what Matt said, the standard Aurora Monster Model kits, or something like the Flash Gordon.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the funny thing, Matt, is you're saying that, here we have some time, and so I have this from 1964, a Flash Gordon kit that's still sealed in its original package.
Wow.
But you're not going to put that together.
No.
Then what's the point of this?
But I can look at it.
So wait a minute.
I can look at it.
So we're quarantined, and
Yes.
so now you have the time to open the lid of a box to look at the pieces and then put it back in your garage.
Yes, but you understand it's.
No, I don't understand.
No, it's from 1964. And it's
That's when I was born.
That's right, and it's still sealed. The air inside the package is from 1964.
I get it.
And once
It's
I
cool.
open that out, then it goes out into the environment. And
and I get that. I have a Pirates of the Caribbean kit that's not still sealed. I mean, the pieces are all there. It's never been put together.
Okay.
It's still got the instruction sheet. And I probably won't put that thing together. What I love about this day and age is a lot of these kits, especially the Aurora model kits, have been re-released.
Yes.
So you can get a brand new kit, put that thing together that was pressed, last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you don't have to worry about, you're messing with this ultra rare collectible.
Yeah, that is true. It's funny because I have a set of models still in their boxes that are from the 1970s of the Aurora Monster Model kits, the glow versions. But then I have the later ones that came out in like 1999 or 2000. And those.
Now, are you going to put those together?
Well, see, now we're in 2020, and these models are now like 20 years old. So
actually, that's another. I never thought about that, Larry. For you, like that's another level of like. You buy an action figure, it's in the package, and you don't want to open it. But at least you see the action figure there. It's maybe nicely displayed in the package. Yes. But with a model kit, if you leave it in the package, you don't see it realized at all as a model. I mean, you either have to leave it in the box. Looking at the separated pieces in a bag is like, that's even worse than, not having it at all.
But if it has good box art, you can have it.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, here's my model in its box.
Right.
That makes me happy.
James, do you have kits that you put together?
I have a lot of resin kits that have never been completed. I've got a great bootleg resin Batgirl. And these I bought like 25 years ago, and I thought I'd have the time. I've got my favorite one that I can't wait to put together is Renfield from Bram Stoker's Dracula, because I'm a big Tom Waits fan. And it's a beautiful resin kit. He's got the straight jacket, and it kind of flows all over the place.
Wow.
And it's an easy kit to put together. It's only like 5 pieces. And it doesn't need much filing or sanding. It's when it comes to the paint. I don't want to fuck up the paint job. So I'm tempted to maybe ask someone who knows what they're doing, to maybe do a nice job or something.
So James, when you were like younger growing up as a kid, did you do a lot of model work, building and painting stuff?
Yeah, all the Auroras, all the Aurora monsters.
Really? So you were pretty good at it?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I screwed up the painting. I overused the glue, the stuff that everybody does while they're learning,
Sure.
But no, I enjoyed it.
Do you still have those?
Oh, God, no. I have no idea where those were, where they ended up.
My suggestion when it comes to building a kit and how you learn to be good at building and painting kits is to not rush. As a kid, you'll get these kits and you want them to be up on your shelf almost immediately.
Yes.
And so I would, the glue would be sloppy because I just wanted to get this thing up, and I'd paint it really quickly. And now as an adult, I can take some time. And if you just take time and, you know that if you mess up something, you can paint over it.
Yeah.
If you just take your time, you'd be surprised at how good you get at doing this.
True.
Now, when it comes to the kits that I have and that I want to build, I've got a closet full of them. And it's just a stack of stuff. And one of them that I really want to put together is the Gorgo kit. It's fairly recent from Monarch Models.
Yes.
And it's a great kit. And
yes.
It mirrors the Godzilla Aurora kit.
Okay.
Because there's a devastated city, and just the detail on this kit is just so great.
Okay, I have an important question. Does it come with the baby Gorgo too?
I can't remember.
No, I don't believe it does.
You don't think? Okay.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Because actually, isn't Gorgo the name of the baby?
Yes.
Well, yes.
But then
I think it's the Gorgo species, right?
Yes, I agree with Sean. I mean, not to give away the ending of the movie Gorgo, because I would strongly suggest that people see it. It's England's version, if you will, of Godzilla, but it's different.
Yeah, and it's a great design.
It's a beautiful design.
I love it.
As do I. Yes.
And also, if you collect kaiju figures in the Bandai scale, there's never been a really nice one of Gorgo. So the best you can get right now is to get that kit.
Yeah.
Do a really nice paint job on it, and then it'll go with those other Toho Bandai figures and the Gamers and all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if I could just chime in really quickly, Matt, I know that model. I love that model. I want to build that model too. Along those same lines, I'd love it if that company can do a Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Oh, yeah.
The Rhedosaurus. Because there are some garage kits, but not a good, put piece A and B together, like an Aurora type one.
Right.
Yeah.
So to people in the big model world listening, do a Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
That's a great suggestion. I love that.
Yep.
Thank you.
The other one that I have is the classic Land of the Giants snake kit. Giant snake.
Yeah.
It's not a giant. It's giant to the little people from Land of the Giants. But the one I have is Polar Lights, and it's beautiful. And I'm not wrecking a vintage model kit. I can put this thing together.
Can you describe what the model is?
Well, the model is, it's this big rattlesnake. And then you see all the cast of Land of the Giants, little tiny figures in the grass in front of this giant rattlesnake, and they're fighting it off. They've got like a safety pin, and they're trying to.
It's so cool.
Keep it away. It's a great kit, and I think I could play around with that one a bit to give it some slight customizing to bring all that stuff to life.
Yeah,
but I love that. I also have. I always wanted to do this. But I have a Star Trek bridge set.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Remember that classic kit?
Yes, I have that, yes.
And they've re-released that a couple times. And you can buy on eBay, there are these customizing kits where you can make the screens light up.
No!
Oh, nice.
And I would love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I'm just going to throw just two more in here. One is a Phantom Creeps kit that Sean gave me.
Oh yeah,
as a present, which is
I love
lovely.
the design of that robot. It's so
that is a garage kit, so that's going to take a little bit of work. But then I also have all of the re-releases of monster scenes.
All of them?
Yeah. And I'd love to make all those.
Oh,
those are
and monster
great.
Scenes were originally they were an offshoot of Aurora model kits. And they were very controversial.
Yes.
Oh, were they ever?
Because there was torture devices and there was a victim kit, whereas the idea of having a female victim as a kit.
In fact, there was so much concontroversy about it that was later changed to Dracula's daughter or something.
That's
like
right.
that.
Yes.
It was Dr. Doom's daughter.
Dr. Doom's daughter. Yes,
Dr. Doom's daughter.
Yes.
Dr. Doom was the scientist, and I love those kits. And they had the little Vampirella, the Frankenstein monster, all the little diorama scenes are so cool.
I bought most of these at Creature Features, and when you got them at Creature Features, you got a dungeon display.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I would love to make them all and then set them up in the dungeon display.
What's cool about those models, by the way, is back when Aurora first made the models, this is back in the late 50s, early 60s, the Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, it was a model that you glued the figure to the base. what's great about the figures that you're talking about is they're designed actually to be little toy figures.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, they're portable.
Like between models and action figures. That was cool.
Yes, that was the idea.
Those are so great. Hey, yes, just for 1 second, speaking of like Land of the Giants, did you guys have the Spindrift model kit? The spaceship?
Yes, I did.
I love that design of that ship. I had that. That was cool.
I used that in a Super 8 movie that you can find online
Nice.
called Flash Corrigan Space Explorer.
Did you?
And I used that model kit, and then I used the flying sub as two spaceships.
Cool.
And I painted them silver. They had a dogfight, and let's just say both spaceships ended up catching fire in the grand SHAWN Sheridan tradition.
Yes. I probably would have loved to have seen that. Even though
it's good. You can
watch
see
it.
We
can
watch
it
it
on YouTube.
Yes.
All right.
I think I'll just cry. I mean, I'll say, vintage model being burned up.
Of course not. I would never do that.
There's another kit that I want. I don't have. But do you remember the Classics Illustrated Time Machine issue that they did? It's a famous issue of Classics Illustrated. And I'm going to show you. It looks like this.
Whoa. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that time machine, you can find a kit.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. For our listeners, this time machine looks sort of like a gyroscope.
Cool.
It still kind of feels like the time machine from the George Pal film, but it's a different take. And I would love to get this kit and just do it upright.
Cool.
No, and speaking of monster scenes, there was a beautiful collector's book came out a couple of years ago, and it's a great companion to the Aurora Monster Kits collector's book. I think both the books are probably by the same publisher, but I was thrilled to see a monster scenes book come out as well.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I got to get that.
Creature Features used to sell it.
Matt, there's another, you mentioned this time machine. There was another model, which I had, I don't have anymore, but it was like it was called the Strange Change Machine.
Yeah.
And it was a capsule. And what happened is it was a plastic model you put together and you open it up and it has a little scene, a little guy waving at you. And then you close it and you press the little thing and then it switches. And then you open the little door and then it's like him in a dinosaur scene going, do you remember that?
Cool.
Yeah, I have the re-release, and that's another one that's on the stack to be made.
Yeah.
Was
that MPC?
Yeah, MPC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't there like a Dracula or a Mummy one too?
Yes.
Or something?
Exactly. There's a Dracula and a Mummy one. Yes.
And
totally
MPC also did the Pirates and the Haunted Mansion kits too, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Haunted Mansion organ player, and it's not complete. It's some pieces that I got. It's most of the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to do with that is customize it and trick it out and kind of make it my own. But I love those kits. And I know briefly they re-released the Pirates ones, but I'm not sure about the Haunted Mansion. I'm sure that Disney would have had a problem if someone
that's true.
did something with those molds that they shouldn't be doing.
But those series of kits went a step further where they were like, they had movable parts, right? They had like little things like they would do a particular action with like rubber bands or something you would make.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
It was called Snap Action.
Yeah, Snap Action.
And for example, the Pirates kit that I have, it's called Dead Man's Raft.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this ghostly skeleton who's on the wheel of the ship. Behind him, there's a box, and you press a button, and out of the box, this other skeleton will just kind of leap out, and he has a dagger, and his dagger will come down on a map that's on a little box in front of him.
Yeah.
And it's super cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah.
See, but what's funny is, I mean, you bring up it's like, Snap Action. I had the Haunted Mansion one where there's a coffin and there's like a guy that has a hood and he has a giant shovel. Execution. And
I had that one.
Yeah, and I could never get it to work. I could get the little rubber band to make his thing go down, but he would never actually hit the
That's
little
true.
thing
They were they were a little off. Yeah, sometimes
some worked better than others. I think I might at one point. I think I had some of the other Pirates ones, and they were harder to get to work.
Yeah.
But hey, I applaud the trying to make it
something different.
Yeah,
even though it didn't always work. Yeah.
And that's why I think that like if I could just tinker around with some of this stuff, I might be able to get it to work Maybe not in the same way that they designed it to work, but maybe I could do something like, I don't know, put in a little motor or who knows.
Right.
Well, when you're a kid, it's always an experiment. I mean, you're lucky you can get anything to work when you're a kid. I can't tell you how many times I tried to make a toy train run, like an HO scale. It was a great idea, and I was real excited about it, but that stuff's hard. You got to be a grown-up to actually make that stuff work.
Wait. An HO scale train?
Have you ever?
The little track and the little power, and you turn a little knob?
But they are cumbersome. Like
it's a challenge.
And like what Matt said, when you're a kid, you need the patience, which a lot of times you don't have when you're a little kid. I don't have that now.
Exactly.
Well, I want to second what Larry was saying, because I don't understand, like a train. I had a Lionel train set, like an old one.
Yes, I had that too.
Yeah. And you put that thing together. The key was finding the right speed, because if you keep the thing at a slower speed, it'll keep going around the track forever. I never had any problems.
No.
But like, for example, slot cars, that never worked. Because those things always went too fast. They went from like 0 to 90, like a little, all you had to do is just slightly up the acceleration and it'd just like fly off the track.
It was good practice for a little kid to learn how to drive too fast and crash a car.
Or to show them the dangers of driving too fast.
Well, do you remember, we talked about this probably, I think, before, but Smash Up Derby, do you remember that?
Oh,
yeah.
That was like made for me. It was like cars that were made to break, smash into each other and break up. It great.
I might have to go back and get some of those. You can get them for like a couple $100, a complete set. I would have hours of fun in my quarantine just playing with that stuff.
Totally.
Sean, you were a very destructive child.
I was. I mean, I don't know. That's how I got all my kid energy, I guess.
Did anybody have the Tiny Mighty Mo?
No, what's that?
What was that? Was that
what
a truck?
Familiar, though. That sounds familiar. What is it?
They had a commercial that was Tiny Mighty Mo.
I remember that.
They came in different versions. Mine was a tank. And the amazing, that was literally a tank. You could not destroy this thing. This was something that had a friction motor.
It was like die-cast?
Yeah, but it actually had a motor in it, and you push it, and if you push it really hard, that thing would go maybe 50 feet, and it would slow down gradually.
Yes,
But I love that thing. It was a diehard. I don't know where it went, but that's something that I think I want to pick up again.
That name sounds familiar to me, Mighty Mo. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, no, I absolutely remember that theme.
That's cool.
It was a great toy. It was awesome.
Yeah. Maybe I should just get some Hot Wheels sent to me.
Yeah.
That would be great. Like to set the track up all over the place where you do the loop-de-loops and
throughout the whole house.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, but the thing about no, that's not true. They did have a little contraption that if you had a small loop, there was like a little box that you made the track go through, and
I had that.
The car go through, and it would shoot the car out. It could go around and then come back in, and then it would go through the house, and then it would shoot it back out again.
Right.
I remember setting it up and having to go through, and then my parents called me for dinner, and so okay, Mom, and I went, had dinner, came back, and it was still going.
It's on fire.
No, it wasn't over. But I was so excited. I thought, I'm brilliant. I could, because I was able to fix it.
Car go fast.
No, but
I managed to get this to work the way that it was advertised.
Right.
Which is a challenge sometimes. True.
You laugh.
I do.
It's like, oh boy, here, this is what it's supposed to do. But you remember, as a kid, not everything would always work out the way you wanted it to.
No.
Right.
More often than not, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, so don't laugh at me like, well.
But that one did. I had that, and that one did. Getting back to trains, I never really understood the love of trains. I mean, I kind of appreciate it more now.
You don't love trains?
Well, wait a minute, hold on. The train itself, I thought, was kind of dull. What I ended up enjoying was when you'd see somebody who was like a train enthusiast.
Yes.
What they would do is they'd set up the tunnel. Yes. And they'd set up the city, and they like all the stuff around the train.
Building the miniature,
I thought was really cool.
Yeah, building the miniature diorama in town. Like I had a friend who had a massive train set in his basement. I never had one myself, but he did, and I just loved all the intricacy of the little people in the town. I just wanted to put Godzilla figures in there and have them like wreck stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
But that was the train's like the train's fine, whatever.
Train just going around the track. It's like okay. After about 3 minutes of this, you're done.
Yeah, but that Model City was cool.
Well, they came out with like Kentucky Fried Chickens, with 7-Elevens, with all these different types of buildings, and I still have a lot. I used to buy up all that stuff. I still have like a little Kentucky Fried Chicken, like that's a little motel that you can actually make like the Bates Motel if you wanted to, as a little swimming pool.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I love that the little trees and all that scenic stuff. I don't really have the trains anymore, but I still have all the scenic stuff, and that's exactly what I do with them. Godzilla diorama.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
I know. We remember your room.
Scale stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's funny, Matt. I've always loved trains. Always. Even as a kid, when we had a Lionel train and it would go around the Christmas tree, and I loved making it go fast and then slowing down. I mean, I could do that for hours. And yes, anything that you could add to it, whether it be a tunnel or you create a tunnel or something. I mean, I always loved it. Later on, when my father retired, my dad started to purchase, the big garden train layouts, the larger scale. It's larger scale trains.
Oh, yeah.
That people would put in their gardens, big scale trains. And eventually I got them. And so I'm hoping to, maybe that's what I should do with all of my free time, is go out in the backyard and start, putting that train in is what I should do.
Yes,
but you should have two trains. You should have two trains going opposite directions so they eventually crash.
No, Sean, because I'm going to have it in the backyard, it's going to go. It's going to go by the flower bed. It'll go by like a little fairy town that my daughter has, like a little Snow White figures, and the orange tree. So it'll make us little trek, and I'm going to do a little tunnel and stuff like that. So.
I have a bunch of Marx figures. Wild West ones, like Fort Apache and that kind of thing. And what I want to do is I do want a train, and it doesn't even have to be a really expensive train, but it has to be an authentic looking Wild West train with the big smokestack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that is something, but that would be in addition to, like, the Marx playset would be the focal point, not necessarily the train.
Right.
If I can make a suggestion, Matt, we've talked about this on another show. I know that you have, it's a rare set. It's the Marx circus playset.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what would be cool is if you had a Lionel train going around the tent, because typically, back in the day, Ringling Brothers, they actually trekked from town to town on the train. And it would be cool to have your circus tent set up by a little train that's going around a circle. Then you get your little sideshow people by it,
Mm-hmm. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can find on eBay, there actually are some model train cars that are circus cars.
Yes, yes.
So that would be neat. Yeah, I think that runs into a little bit more money, but eventually I would like to do that. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good idea.
You're rolling in the dough.
Sure.
Money gets stashed away at the house now.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I pull a cord just to have the money rain on me. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm danger diabolic. Yeah.
All right, so guys, what about our DVDs and Blu-ray collection? I mean, that's one thing, stuck at home with our collections. I mean, of course, we have streaming, we have cable, we have YouTube, but all our physical media, that'll last for a while, right? We can just kind of just hunker down and home and just watch our stuff, right?
Right. Well, if all of Netflix gets the virus,
yeah, seriously,
we're covered.
Like with our collection, I think we probably have around 6,000 different movies and TV shows on disc or Blu-ray. So if there was no such thing as streaming anymore, we would probably be okay for several years.
But you see,
entertainment watching.
Yeah, but Sean, you bring up a good thing. You go, oh, hey, we've got streaming and stuff. But yes, but let's say I want to watch the Omega Man, and you try to find it. It's like, well, maybe they just have I Am Legend. It's like, no, I don't want to watch that. No, I want to watch Heston's version.
I do. There are certain streaming things like whether it's Netflix or Prime. Certain ones I hate the way they organize it so that you can't find it. It's terrible. That's why, as you probably all know, I'm an organizational freak. And I have everything organized to the nth level of our DVDs and Blu-rays. I have the John Carpenter collection. I have every possible category. The Friday the 13th.
All the Debbie does.
Yeah, all the Debbie does. And chronologically. But Sean, I can find anything at my fingertips at any time.
Your video room is exemplary. Your video room is like if you walked into the coolest video store on the planet and everything was organized and there's little figures next to the different sections.
I literally tried to make it. Yeah, I literally tried to make it like that, like the ultimate cult video store for like the ultimate.
It's authentic right down to the creepy proprietor.
Yes, exactly.
Sean,
I even have the little like curtain you walk through.
Yeah,
like instead of porn, it's just like horror and sci-fi.
You should have a porn section though.
No. Sean, I do have a question for you because you bring up a really good thing. To our listeners, Sean's collection, DVDs and Blu-rays, it is absolutely amazing. It is beautiful.
Are you on something?
No.
All these compliments.
All these compliments, so uncharacteristic of you.
Well, it's the new leaf. It's quarantine world. No, yeah. but Sean, this is my question to you.
Okay.
I am in awe of your collection. I really am. But my collection of DVDs and Blu-rays can't even compare to yours. But I do have a lot.
No, it can't.
No. But my question is, Sean, what would you suggest I do? Because right now, all I really have is I have Harryhausen films.
Yeah.
And then I have a section of horror. And then it's all mixed up. Do you go alphabetically? Would you rather put it in sections? How would you suggest for someone who has a smaller collection?
Yeah. No, I do it alphabetically. Like I'll have my horror section, my sci-fi section, but the horror section it'll be alphabetically. But if you have like an obvious, distinct franchise like Planet of the Apes or the Universal films, which already come in box sets anyway, I keep them together. But like I will combine all Stuart Gordon stuff into my own box set.
Directors.
You can buy these like 12 disc cases. They hold 12 discs and you just put them all in there. That it saves space. That's the main thing. Because even though I have an entire little alcove of wall-to-wall discs, space is limited because I'm always buying. So I'm always trying to find a way to condense them. But yes, you don't do it for everything, but that's the fun though, is like coming up with kind of subcategories and arranging.
So is your universal in U? Is it in the U section or is it?
It is, yes. Yeah, like all the different Universal sets I kind of have all together, like Frankenstein set, Wolfman set, it's all under, like there's the classic Universal Blu-ray set. I have that. And then after that, all those Frankenstein sets and Wolfman sets and Dracula sets with that. So you go there, you're going to see all the Universal stuff.
I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to redo my DVD section or Blu-ray according to like your suggestion.
Yeah,
I do subgenres. So I'll do Universal or films around the time of the classic Universal films.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
like 30s and 40s.
Yeah. And then I'll have a Hammer horror section. I will have zombie films.
That's cool.
I have like a dystopian future section.
Oh, that's cool.
So anything that involves like the end of the world.
Right.
Those are all in one place.
That's cool.
And animation obviously is its own thing. Music.
Right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But don't you guys though like we're all married here? I mean, the thing is sometimes
let's see if it lasts the quarantine.
But your DVD or Blu-ray collection, it's not all like horror, sci-fi, fantasy. We also have, the best years of our lives, the 10 Commandments.
Oh, sure, yeah.
What do I do with that?
Yeah.
No, I literally have a comedy section. Comedy section.
Yeah, I have war films.
Yeah,
Western,
superheroes,
samurai,
animation,
martial arts.
So you kind of organize it like I want to say a Tower Records or like an Amoeba.
Kind of, yeah.
You have
I go even so far as to have a little sign saying horror or sci-fi fantasy.
That's awesome.
But I have like a figure, like I have a zombie figure next to the horror. I have a little Gort figure next to the sci-fi. I have a little Godzilla next to Japanese monsters.
One section says "Cry for help."
Yeah, with a little sad face.
It's a picture of him in junior high school.
I have a disaster movie section with a little plane on fire.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, good. That's good.
I knew something had to be on fire.
Of course. Yes.
Well, now, do you have videos? Because I have a lot of stuff that I have purchased, but for some reason either started and never finished or never got around to it at all. Do you have stuff like that?
You mean stuff you haven't watched all the way through?
Yeah.
I kind of, I have to admit, I think everything we have, I've watched. I don't think, unless there may be like some of those like those Mill Creek, 50 movies per set things.
Yeah.
It doesn't
There's
really
going to be
count.
some on those that I haven't watched, but I think everything I have, I've watched. Here's another question. Do you guys have like lists of your collections of everything you have? Like one thing for me to kind of keep reference is like, I have a master list of every title that we have.
I need to do that, Sean. I think that's a great idea.
I have that when it comes to my 16 millimeter films. I have that.
That's cool.
But I don't have it for everything else. I kind of know where everything is. And
That's cool.
sometimes the fun of it is to just start pulling out the DVDs and looking at like, oh, hey, I forgot I had this. And
so, like, to me, that's more fun than like browsing on Netflix. I mean, it's just me. I don't know. I just like, browsing
the physical aspect of it.
Yeah, totally.
I think you guys know, I mean, I used to have a lot of DVDs. Little by little, I've been doing away with many of them. I still have quite a few, but I started instead collecting digital downloads on hard drives.
Okay.
It saved a lot of space. Same thing with music. A long time ago, I did away with my vinyl, then I did away with CDs. Now everything's on hard drives. But as compact and as immediate as that might be, and I mean, list-wise, you don't even need a list. You just open up the window, right? You see
that is a list. Yeah.
Yeah. As simple as you'd think that would make life, it can actually get unwieldy because you start putting certain things on flash drives and you start mixing them on the wrong hard drive, and then you have to put them. You have to organize your library, and that's one thing that I've found myself doing during my spare time now is just getting my hard drives in order.
Right. Do you ever worry about like losing a hard drive too? Like, what if like?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I got to back everything up.
Yeah.
Someday, maybe during this period.
Right.
Well, you mentioned vinyl. Not too long ago, I got my parents their original stereo system.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good tuner, but the tuner needs some work on it. But there's a nice turntable, and I have all this vinyl, and it's a mixture of stuff that I've accumulated over the years and the records that I had in high school. I mean, I have the first Sex Pistols album that I had in high school, and I just played to death, and I would love to play that again. And over the years, I've collected like these Peter Pan record and book things.
Oh, yeah.
Those are great.
I remember those.
Yeah.
And I just love to play that. I would just love to just, as background noise. And then my parents, when I got their stereo system, I got all their albums. And they have a lot of great like cocktail music stuff and Burt Bacharach and like
cool.
I would love to just go through all that and see what it's like.
James, do you with all your your massive soundtrack collection, do you kind of been going through your music files and organizing and listening to stuff?
Yeah. It's funny. I thought that if you could put all of your music collection in something that fits in the palm of your hand, that it would make organizing it easier. And it does. The problem is the other side of that coin is that now things are so easily accessible. So you end up downloading like 100 times more music than you ever had on vinyl or tape. And suddenly it becomes unwieldy. And it's the time issue. It's like, when am I going to have the time to filter all this? When I was 14, I used to listen to these John Williams albums, these soundtrack albums, and I would make mixtapes. And my mom, I remember saying at the time, oh, you should make a tape of the best of John Williams. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. And all these years later, I still haven't had the time to fucking do it. So now I hope to get to that. And now it'll just be a playlist on my iPod.
Do you miss having those albums, though, and the album art and stuff? I mean,
yes.
I know it was a big thing when I had albums.
I miss them a lot. The problem is space.
I agree.
I have thousands of albums,
really?
Soundtracks.
You really had thousands of vinyl?
In 1982, I resolved to collect, and don't ask me why, but I resolved to collect every single soundtrack album that came out that year. So I was getting like these weird,
like foreign, anything,
like everything, like
Yentl soundtrack or
oh yeah.
Yentl's not bad.
Okay, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Do you remember hearing it?
Yes, I do.
Remember, Papa, can you hear me?
Oh, God.
I'm sorry,
The fact that you put that back in my head, Larry.
Wow.
I worked at the movie theater that played that. I saw it a ton of times.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I have gotten into too, like couple is recently is looking through my old Famous Monsters and Starlogs and Fangorias, because I have magazine boxes of all those, and I still have those, and those are just so fun to go through.
Do you know what I
me
learned?
Too. Yeah.
Sean, I was doing the same thing, and you know what I learned? And I was so shocked by this. Many of my older ones, my Famous Monsters, they have a little piece of like cardboard, like a backing.
Yes.
Some of mine don't have them.
Like later ones, or
yeah, later ones. So I'm like, when I discovered, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get backings for this so I can keep them all nice and flat.
Yeah.
But
the later ones maybe don't need them as much. Let's face it. In the 80s,
I have lots of magazines without backings, and they're perfectly fine.
Actually, well, I think it depends on how. Like, I have those cardboard kind of rectangular magazine boxes that are made. If you pack them enough, they won't, curve, and you have to kind of pack them just right,
Yeah.
That's how mine are. But the yellowing of the pages happens, but I don't have everything individually in a plastic. I just don't. But
Sean, have you like opened up your vintage ones and you take it out and go?
Yeah, that smell. Yeah, it's very distinct.
The smell of the pulpy,
it is. It's great.
Paper. I love it.
It brings you back immediately.
Digital books. You're right. In a pinch, I might turn to that, but when it comes to the stuff that I enjoy reading, I like holding a book. I like holding a magazine. I like the smell of paper.
I agree.
And the whole act of turning pages and losing track of how many pages you've turned because you're so immersed in it.
Yeah.
You don't get that on an ebook, really. Yeah,
paper, just regular paperback. I still love the paperback version of the Necronomicon. It's like this little black. It's just a little paper. It's awesome.
Yeah, books are great. And speaking of which, what are you reading?
Yeah, I personally haven't really. I've been so busy with work. I haven't really sit down with a book yet for a while. I have to do that.
Anybody?
I'm reading the autobiography of Ray Manzarek from The Doors.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's called Light My Fire, and I found it for $6 somewhere. And it's fascinating because of all the books about The Doors, he was part of it. So it's like you can get a first-hand experience from him. And he had gone to film school, so he's talking all about his film music conversations with Jim Morrison and the other guys, and it's really interesting. He's actually a good writer.
That's cool.
He's a huge part of the Doors, and he also went on to produce bands like X.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. Love X.
And he was a very important figure in rock music.
Well, Matt, I'm sure. What are you reading? Because I'm sure you're into something cool.
I'm reading right now, thanks to Kevin Smith, our smooth young intern.
Yes.
He, during our shopping guide episode, he turned me on to all these horror mangas.
Cool.
And so I picked up the works of Junji Ito, which so far I think my favorite one is one called Uzumaki. Otherwise known as Spiral. And it's about this town. This town just gets taken over by spirals, and people start seeing them everywhere. And then they start to make themselves into spirals. Their hair becomes spirals, and it's the craziest story. And where it goes from beginning to end is just amazing. And the artwork is wonderful and beautiful and really terrifying and disgusting at times, but really works for horror. And it's lovely. And I really, really have been enjoying that one. And there's one called The Drifting Classroom, and it's written and illustrated by Kazu Umezu. And he is a legend in Japanese manga. And he's cited as being kind of like the grandfather of horror comics in that country.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really interesting story. And I've got 2 volumes of it. And it's some heavy stuff. And it's all about this school that gets suddenly transported to this wasteland. And there's a handful of teachers and a bunch of kids in a classroom. And they have to just figure out what to do, how to live in the midst of this strange occurrence that happened to them. The kids turn on each other. The teachers turn on the kids. Murders all over the place. And then you add crazy stuff like giant bugs that attack the school.
Jeez. So it's just like the school itself is transported only?
Yes.
That's weird. It sounds like a cross between Battle Royale and that Our Limits episode where the whole town is transported to a different planet.
Yeah, a feasibility study is the one you're thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying that stuff, and every time I finish one, I get a new volume or a different title. And thank you, Kevin Smith, because this is really paying off for me.
Nice.
One thing I can appreciate these days is a good laugh. And I love The Onion, which is the parody of the news stories.
Yeah.
But I've recently rediscovered something I haven't used to read since college, and it's not on the newsstands anymore, but it's got a website, and that is the Weekly World News.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we used to pick it up, and back when I was a kid, I'd see it at supermarkets, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's like the Inquirer." No, it's nothing like the Inquirer.
It's like Bat Boy
and aliens from Planet Zebo, and it's weeklyworldnews.com. I started getting on Twitter, and now I actually read it, and sometimes I laugh really, really hard. I mean, if The Onion makes me smile and chuckle, Weekly World News will make me really, really and it is current. I don't know who they've got. They've got, I guess, a staff of writers or one or two people, but
that's hilarious.
It's funny stuff. So I would recommend it.
Years ago, when my wife and I were in New York, we went to an off-Broadway play. It was called Bat Boy the Musical.
I remember that.
It was really funny. It was really entertaining. It was based on the Bat Boy from that publication.
That was a great paper, though.
Yeah.
I saved a few of those over the years.
That's cool.
And there was always something like there was an alien that would meet with Saddam Hussein or some crazy nonsense.
Yeah. Well, guys, what about just specific movies to watch, like while we're, stuck at home? What kind of stuff do you like to watch, horror sci-fi wise that, is good for passing the time or just fun to watch?
I've tried to get my daughter to watch the Andromeda Strain. I thought it was more appropriate.
But, Gina and I just watched that recently.
It's so funny because it's such a great movie.
It's a great movie.
But unfortunately, each time I brought it up, my wife goes, I don't want to watch it. So either I'm going to have to, I don't know, because I have this hunger to watch it,
Well, you could ease in with like the Omega Man. The Omega Man's a little bit more action oriented. It's not as realistic, approach to the subject of
or Where Have All the People Gone?
Yeah.
Peter Graves.
Yeah. Or like the Satan Bug. That's another cool one.
Satan Bug,
yeah.
Well, the Crazies.
The Crazies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like the remake actually better.
I have to see that. Is that good? Really?
I think it's great.
Really? Okay.
I'm a
Timothy Oliphant.
Okay.
The remake is well done. Romero executive produced it, but
I didn't know that.
Such a big fan of the original because for me,
I do like the original.
It bridges the gap between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. It's right in between, and it kind of shows you stylistically where there's shots in there that evoke very, very much Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I have to check out the remake though.
The Crazies, the original Romero production, I'm not crazy about. I think it never for me finds the right tone of what it wants to be. It's not scary enough. It's not thriller enough.
I just have, what it is? I watched it as a kid. It was a terrible, grainy, choppy print on, one of the syndicated stations. And I was just like, wow, this thing is really cool because it's not a really polished movie. And it felt almost like somebody picked up a 16 millimeter camera and,
it's way really overlit.
Raw. Yeah, but there's something really raw about it. Like a lot of low budget films.
I will watch it again.
Matt, is the remake more kind of realistic and intense kind of? Is it just... okay.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
The things that I love about that's what turns me off about the remake. The remake is, it's got a decent budget. It's well done. It's polished. Nothing's out of focus. The acting is good. All the stuff that's not in the original, but that's why I love the original.
I hear you. Hey, how about the movie Impulse?
Oh, yeah. You mean the Shatner one or the
one with Meg Tilly?
Meg Tilly, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
remember that movie?
It was like there's something in the milk of a town,
something
right?
that is. I forget exactly what is causing the problem, but this entire town is infected with this thing that makes them unable to resist acting on impulse.
Yeah, like their inhibitions just are wild, and nobody can control themselves. So either whether it's violence or sexual, whatever it is, Tim Matheson's in it, I think, too.
Yeah.
That was
it's a really good movie. And it's also got a really strange ending.
I don't remember the ending, but okay. I'll have to check that out again because I did like that.
I haven't seen that one. I'm going to have to check that one out.
A movie that I watched, now this is not in the theme of what's going on right now, but
Sure.
a movie that I watch on a regular basis is Frankenheimer's Seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I watch it again and again and again. I
So
just
good.
love that movie. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
I love it.
I just think it's just pure genius.
It's harrowing.
It's terrifying. The cinematography is amazing. The music, we discussed last time, is just mesmerizing. This film that's all about a guy who is he's not happy with his life. He's in this marriage that he's less than excited about and a job as well. And he gets an offer to completely disappear, start his life over again as a different person, looks different, has a whole new job. And guess what? He's still not happy.
Right.
Because it's hard to get away from you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So what can we learn from this?
Yeah, I know. It reminds me of that every day. Is to take care of you.
Right.
Well, plus the fact that Rock Hudson obviously was closeted, and it gives it another dimension when you see him playing someone who's chronically unhappy about his identity.
Yes,
That's true.
I think it's one of the best things that Rock Hudson ever did.
I agree.
It's the
performance-wise.
Probably,
Yeah. Well, I've been kind of just randomly picking things, like not anything related to a pandemic of any kind, but like just another movie. I know we've discussed this before, but just such a fun, colorful 50s film is Gorilla at Large.
I love that movie.
That movie is so fun. Every time I watch it, I kind of like it more and more. It's just great. It's 1954. It's basically set at a circus sideshow. And there's this gorilla. It's the gorilla suit that's used in Conga. It's the same outfit. And it's like this gorilla is in this act, and the gorilla may or may not be responsible for a series of murders happening at the carnival. But the cast, first of all, you got a young, strapping Cameron Mitchell. How often do you get to see a young, strapping Cameron Mitchell?
Never.
I don't know if I want to.
Yeah. The absolutely gorgeous, luscious Anne Bancroft. Lee J. Cobb playing kind of like a Columbo-esque, detective. Raymond Burr, Lee Marvin as this kind of bumbling cop. Warren Stevens from Forbidden Planet. It's just such a great 50s cast. And it's actually a cool little mystery too. It's just fun. I mean, it's goofy, but it's played straight, and it's just really entertaining.
It's weird. It's weird because with the title "Gorilla at Large," you think it's like a really bad film, but you're saying no. It's something that's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's for its time, for what it is. It's funny. It was originally done in 3D. And you have the gorilla swinging at you from a vine and stuff. But it's just lots of like these kind of like scheming things going on with every character has something to hide, and it's silly but really fun.
How's the
and
gorilla?
Really nice production value.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's the gorilla,
lavish Technicolor.
Yeah, the gorilla from Congo. What can I say? But it's fun. So that's a really entertaining one.
I would also like to add, I showed you my Stephen Chow figure. Get into the works of Stephen Chow.
Oh yeah,
Because Stephen Chow, his entire filmography, there's so much genre crossover.
Right.
None of them really take place in reality as we know it. It's
right.
Always kind of a fantasy landscape. But I would suggest God of Cookery, Shaolin Soccer,
and then
Kung Fu Hustle, which I'm sure most people have seen. If they've ever seen a Stephen Chow movie, that's the one they've seen.
Right.
But that movie is, I think, one of the greatest films ever made. Funny, innovative in its style of filmmaking, amazing performances. And Stephen Chow, who writes or co-writes and directs these films, in recent years, he doesn't act anymore, which is a shame because he's so charismatic. And I think the last thing that I remember seeing him in was CJ7, which is kind of like an E.T. story.
Really?
Yeah, with a sense of humor. And I liked it, but the martial arts stuff is way more fun.
There's a Netflix show now that's I'm halfway through. It's getting a lot of buzz, and it's actually well-deserved. It's called Tiger King.
Oh my God.
I heard about this.
Gina just started watching that.
It's genius.
Really?
It's not genre.
No, but it might as well be.
Yeah.
Really?
It's amazing. It's like some of the most sordid cast of characters you've ever seen, and they're actually real people. It's
Wow.
like, whoa. It's about people who run these private not game preserves, but animal preserves. And most of them are centered on big cats, lions and tigers, and how they're all over the U.S. And some of these are real eccentric and dangerous characters to the point where they're literally trying to kill each other.
Yes.
And this documentarian struck gold with this footage because it's some of the most compelling stuff I've ever seen. It's entertaining as hell.
I agree. And they shot for years too.
Yeah. And there's this one guy who shot everything. So there's this treasure trove of footage that they can use.
Wow.
And
I mean, it is incredible. And if you wanted to make this as just a regular dramatic film, not a documentary, if you made that film would be a horror movie.
Wow.
Because there's so much horrific content in it. Yeah. And then with the backdrop of these big cats, there's this exotic element that just adds to the narrative. I mean, I never knew that there were so many of these places around.
No.
And the people who ran them were such colorful characters.
Wow. That's it, to say the least.
Yes. I mean, one guy is almost like a cult leader.
He is a cult leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like he's got 7 girlfriends that he lives with, and he grooms them from a very early age. And it's so bizarre. And it kind of reminded me of a film that I can't remember the names of all the actors who were in it, but it's one that Carrie and I saw years ago, and it's called Burning Bright. And it was about this guy who has a roadside little circus menagerie, whatever you want to call it, but he has some wild animals, and he ends up getting a tiger. And at the same time, he's also having a problem with I believe it's his niece and nephew, and they're in the way of his inheritance. So he works out this scheme where there's a hurricane that's happening. So he boards up his entire house. He invites the niece and nephew to come and stay. He boards them up in the house with the tiger.
Oh.
And so the rest of the movie is the tiger hunting this girl and her brother.
Wow.
And it's super fun.
Wow.
It's Burning Bright.
Cool.
Burning Bright.
A couple films too, like I'm trying to kind of maybe watch a couple films that are more like, small scale stories that take place inside, just get to kind of reflect with, being inside the house. One film that is really interesting that's not too well known. It's kind of like the psychological thriller horror. It's a film from 1974 by director is Jose Ramon Larez. It's called Symptoms.
Symptoms.
It's with Angela Pleasance, who was Donald Pleasance's daughter.
Oh, yeah, the one that looks like him.
Lorna Hilbrun. And it's just this weird kind of like psychological thing where Angela Pleasance invites one of her friends over to her like very reclusive family estate in the countryside, but you don't know necessarily what's going on. There may have been a murder. And Angela's like hearing voices. She's starting to lose grasp on reality. It's a very kind of creepy psychological thing, but like beautifully shot. It's out in this country in this like old house, and just things are not what they seem. And it's well done. It's just kind of like nice, kind of like almost like a character play.
Cool.
Also, this is a film we've talked about before, but a great kind of claustrophobic, creepy movie that takes place all like inside. Interesting location from 2001, Session 9.
One of my favorites.
Session 9, we've talked this before. It's like this asbestos cleaning crew have to remove all the asbestos from this old, very creepy mental asylum, and it's maybe haunted. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't know. And there's like one of the workers finds these old tapes of one of the patients. His sessions, and it's so
Session
bizarre.
9.
Brad Anderson, David Caruso, Stephen Gavidan, Josh Lucas. It's really good. It's one I revisit every once in a while because it's just so creepy and weird.
Cool.
If I could bring up some streaming, must-see streaming, I cannot recommend enough. Pluto TV.
Oh yeah.
Pluto TV is this channel. You just look up Pluto TV on your computer machine, and just start watching, because it's this network that has all these different individual channels. There's a whole list of on-demand channels you can get, and each one has a different genre. So there's a James Bond channel, there's a Doctor Who channel, horror, sci-fi, cult. Shout TV has a presence on there, so there's a Shout TV channel.
Are there commercials, or is it edited stuff? Or
there are commercials, but depending on what you're watching and at what time, the commercials for me haven't been that obtrusive.
Yeah, not as bad as like regular broadcast TV.
No.
Right.
But the thing that I've really been enjoying is that they also have these live digital TV channels that are just always running. Mm-hmm. And one of them is called Tokushoutsu. Shout TV.
Yes. Yeah.
And all they play 24 hours a day. Right now, it's Ultraman Leo, Kamen Rider, the original Kamen Rider series.
Wow.
And a bunch of different shows that were the original shows that the Power Rangers shows were taken from. So Sky Ranger, and there's a Time Ranger show. So every time I just don't know what to do with myself, I turn that thing on.
That's awesome.
And it's great. And they're subtitled. And I'm telling you, it's a good time. You can get lost in Pluto TV for hours. They have a lot to offer. And yes, there are commercials. And, sometimes they play a little too many. But for the most part, I found it perfectly fine. And it's a great way to see a lot of these shows that have never come to North America ever.
That's cool.
James, have you been watching this?
No, not yet. I'm looking forward to it, though. Back in the day, Matt, we actually had an idea that we played around
That's right.
with. We were going to pitch a 24-hour cable station that only played kaiju stuff and tokusatsu stuff.
Because the thing is, there's so much content. There's definitely enough to do that. You know what I mean? Like it's just never ending material.
You guys were ahead of the times.
Yeah. James, I still think our channel's great, because even with Tokushoutsu, there's still no channel like what we envisioned.
What Shout's doing is fantastic. They're doing God's work as far as I'm concerned. But there's
100%.
But there's so much else that they haven't come out with yet, and there's a treasure trove of material out there. Who knows? Sooner or later, it'll probably get released. But there's some real wacky, obscure stuff that deserves to be seen. It can certainly fill a 24-hour cable station.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You could do it. You could play stuff and have it never repeat for, I think years probably. Just totally. There's so much out there. It's interesting because when we went to Japan, a lot of times the way that I'll find out about a show is, you'll be in some toy store and you'll look at a character and you go, what's that from?
Yeah, like what the hell is that?
They'll give you the name and then you go, oh, okay. You look that one up. You go, oh my God.
I know. It's like a never-ending archaeological adventure.
Yeah. And then they just kept making them. And I was always impressed by, you look at a random year and you look at all the shows that were produced.
I know.
In 1 year.
Still mind boggles.
Between like 1967 and 1978, that whole period.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah.
Yep.
So Tokushoutsu, that is a super good time, and this is the perfect time to discover all that.
Cool.
And it's free, right? It's not subscription.
It's free, completely free.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the minute you go onto the site, you can start watching.
Cool.
You don't have to sign up. I don't remember signing up.
That I like. I hate all the sign up stuff and your password, and you have to go to a different device and all that crap.
No.
Annoying.
Yeah. Another thing we've been watching, and let's just say I took a bullet for all of you.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. I got through all of Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, really?
Oh,
really?
And how many seasons have there been?
2.
Okay. I have not watched a single episode yet. I will eventually, but.
Look, we all love Doug Jones.
We do.
Sure. Yeah.
And Doug Jones, I can honestly say, is the best part of this show. And I would love to see a spin-off show where he is the captain of a starship and it's all about him.
As that alien.
He's great. Saru is his name.
Okay.
So the rest of the show is a train wreck.
But why? In what way?
Really?
First of all, it doesn't like Star Trek. It changes everything. It makes the Federation a completely different entity that's really a way darker Federation.
Why would you do that?
Well, I agree, Larry, because one of the things that we love about Star Trek is the fact that it is an optimistic view of the future.
Right.
And
Yes.
even within that universe, you can still have darker elements competing with the ideals of the Federation.
Right.
Sure.
But I would say my main problem with Star Trek Discovery, aside from questionable writing and dialogue, there's some really bad acting.
No.
Sonequa Martin Green, who plays Michael Burnham, that is her character. She starts the show by committing an act of mutiny, and we're supposed to be on her side. And then so the rest of the show is like kind of her redemption in various different guises. But Sonequa Martin Green is just one of the worst actors I've ever experienced.
No.
Yeah, she overacts. She cries a lot. But that's not necessarily her fault, because written in the show, there is so much crying. You have never seen a Star Trek show where, I mean, everybody is weeping constantly.
I don't mind a little crying, but
I don't mind a little crying, but it is a military-esque starship where there should be some decorum, and there's very little decorum. There's a lot of things that happen on the bridge of that ship that, like, wow, this doesn't seem like it works too well with military protocols.
Right.
And it's just, we had some fun with it for a while because we hate watched it.
Right. I mean, I'm so disappointed. It's like, in a way, I was angry that, wait, now you're forcing me to I have to pay to watch Star Trek. I wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
I was kind of bitter. I'm like, I'm going to do my own little, rebellion. I'm not going to watch it. And I was thinking, I hope it's good. And so now it's weird, Matt, because I didn't hear a lot of positive stuff about it, and then it kind of vanished. But you've actually gone through it. And you can say that as a whole, it's just not a good Star Trek.
They did a couple resets. The second season, they reset and they add Christopher Pike.
Right.
And the actor who plays Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, he's good. And I hear there's talk of maybe giving him his own series.
Right.
And that could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But after the second season of the show, the season finale is hands down one of the worst season finales of any show.
Oh my God.
I mean, it borders the line of like, it was all a dream.
Oh
yeah.
My God. That was like a waste of time.
Yeah.
Don't do that
shit.
It's really disappointing.
Has anybody, I have not yet, but I've heard good things, mostly good things about the new series Picard.
I've watched 4 and I'm not sold so far.
Really?
I think it takes forever to get through every episode, and the characters aren't really all that great. Patrick Stewart's fine. He's a great actor, but there's some dodgy acting in that one too.
I heard it was darker. Why is everything got to be darker?
I know, that's right. Everything's dark.
I just don't get that. It's like, make it all dark and mood. It's like, you can continue to keep it uplifting and stuff, and I'd still watch it. But.
Right.
Well, my view of all of their shows right now, all these CBS Star Trek shows, is that don't call it Star Trek. If you want to make your own show and even use a bunch of Star Trek actors, fine. But this isn't Star Trek. The Klingons, Discovery ruined the Klingons. And you could see with the second season, they tried to kind of fix some things.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's one of the things that bothers me about that show is the fact that you have this bridge with all these interesting looking aliens and characters, and you never learn anything about them. You might get an episode where someone is now the arc of a story or part of that arc, but you never really got to know that character. And so it's not like the original Star Trek where, we gradually over time, we got to know Sulu and we got to know Chekhov and we got a handle on all their different personalities. You don't get that with Discovery. And I just feel like whoever's doing this is not all that crazy about Star Trek I understand the idea of like wanting to do something new, but if you're going to take a show that is one thing and then change it completely into something else,
why does
don't call it Star Trek?
Right. Why is there always the need to feel they have to do that? Like, let's shake it up. This isn't your father's Star Trek. Why? Why not?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we
I
love
don't know.
the original Star Trek. I mean, it's
I don't
funny
know.
that, like, even like we talked recently about the latest Star Wars films, like, it's interesting that both these franchises are kind of like a little bit on uneasy ground right now, I think. It's interesting. It's like, two super strong, long-running franchises, but they're kind of, it's like almost like you feel like maybe we should take a break for a little bit. Just,
Sure.
No more Star Wars stuff for a while, no more. Well, of course, I guess Star Wars in a way is the opposite in that, The Mandalorian is, I think, really good. And that's one thing maybe they're doing right with the TV stuff with Star Wars, and maybe it's not happening with Star Trek.
Online, there's been a rivalry between Discovery and the Orville, because you got a lot of Star Trek fans saying that the Orville feels more like Star Trek.
Right.
And I would agree. And so I think you could do a Star Trek show that's maybe an anthology show where you get to, see little backstories of various episodes or extrapolations of stuff that's been introduced over the years, or do something that's simpler.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, too, with Discovery. There's just all this tech and all these complicated things that are happening all the time that don't really add to the dramatic element of the show.
That's why Mandalorian works, because it's a simple, straightforward story.
Yeah. I think if you did something like that with Star Trek, it would work, but I don't think we're going to get that for a while. Not while CBS has control.
You bring up a really good point, Matt. I sometimes wonder if the people who did the MCU universe, I mean, they love this stuff. It's like, are the people doing Star Trek, do they love Star Trek, or are they told you need to shake this up and make Star Trek more relevant or something?
Right.
And I just think it's like what you bring up, Matt, it almost seems like these people don't enjoy it, don't like Star Trek.
Well,
that's what it sounds like.
Well, yeah. And what's weird is that Brian Fuller is a Star Trek fan. I know personally that he's a big Star Trek fan, but I do know that there was some shakeups when it came to writers and producers.
Wasn't Nicholas
I'm sure that didn't help things either.
Wasn't Nicholas Meyer, like, I thought he was going to, when I was told he was going to work on it, oh my God, he's like considered the savior of Star Trek. And then he was let go. And I'm wondering, did they not have a cohesive idea? It's like where he thought Star Trek could go and where the network or what the Paramount decided, hey, this is where we should go. I don't know.
I mean, Jonathan Frakes has been brought in to direct a bunch of them. With the beginning of that second season, I got the impression that there was a lot of fixing that was going on. Everybody was trying to correct what they got wrong in that first season, but not in a fluid way, in a ham-fisted, awkward way.
Right.
And they still didn't get it right.
But as a director, I mean, Jonathan Frakes, if he's a director for hire, I mean, just because you had a guy he's directed and was on, that doesn't mean that he can fix it.
No.
I mean, he's directing a script that's already been done.
Right.
I mean,
novelty bringing him in.
Just because he comes in doesn't mean he's going, I'm going to change. I'm going to fix it. He's a director for hire. I think that was a gimmick more than anything.
That's a bad sign too, when like a show suddenly changed drastically in the next season. It's like they don't know what they really want to do with it. There's not a real clear vision for several seasons,
But I will probably watch, if I still have the subscription, I will probably watch the third season of Discovery. I love Doug Jones. I think he's brilliant. I'm telling you, he is the best part of the show.
Cool.
His acting and what he can do through that makeup just elevates everybody and everything around him. And I wish him nothing but the best. And it makes me even feel bad to even talk any shit about the show.
Right.
We got to talk about this stuff because, it's what's happening now in the world of science fiction. But I don't really know how they could fix this show. There's so many things that are wrong.
Yeah.
But the overacting of Sonequa Martin Green, God, I don't know.
It's too bad.
It's sad. Well, this has been great.
It's been virtually great.
It's kind of worked out pretty good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, better than nothing.
Considering the situation and the global emergency happening now. Yeah.
We're still punching.
Yeah.
You know who's really got to be freaked out these days is Howie Mandel. Any like germaphobe, it's like, holy shit.
That's true. You're right.
Well, He's probably walking around in like a tank or something, like like an Iron Man suit,
and like the bubble, like the boy in the plastic bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wind this thing up, why don't we just toss out a couple more titles of stuff that people can watch, and and then we'll bring it on home.
Okay.
How about you, Sean?
Okay. I would say these are films we've mentioned before, but if you want kind of nice, comfy, familiar, vintage 40s Universal thriller mysteries, I would say the Inner Sanctum films. The films with Lon Chaney and those kind of like murder mysteries and the Calling Dr. Death and Weird Woman and the Frozen Ghost. There were 6 films. They're just fun, comfortable. Like as a kid, I didn't like them as much because there were no monsters. Now I appreciate them more. They're atmospheric. They're fun. For kind of like, again, stuff set inside. This is more like a mystery thriller, but I always liked 1982's Death Trap, directed by Sidney Lumet. It's kind of like a sleuth type thing. Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve and Diane Cannon. Michael Caine is a struggling playwright who wants to steal Christopher Reeve's play. Christopher Reeve is great, and actually he's a protege. It's very twisty. There's a murder. It's really fun. It's a good staying at home murder mystery.
It's Ira Levin who wrote Rosemary's Baby.
That's right.
And it was a play, and it was done, and Sidney Lumet made into a film, and it's really fun.
I got a show that's non-genre, but it's a favorite of mine, and it's a comedy. And if you feel like some laughs, I'd say check it out. It's a British comedy show from 2008. It ran for 2 seasons. It's called The In-Betweeners. And it's about some high school kids or middle school kids as 4 friends, and they're all kind of misfits, but they get along, and it's a really funny show. And then they did 2 spin-off movies after that are really funny too.
I like that series because they treat the dialogue between these guys realistically.
Well, for me, I would suggest watching every episode of Sapphire and Steel.
Yes.
David McCallum and Joanna Lumley.
Love that show.
Yes, and they are interdimensional agents.
It's a weird show.
Yeah, it's really great. And it's a cross between science fiction and horror.
Yeah.
Or like gothic horror.
Yeah,
because
really weird.
It's their job to go after these entities from other dimensions who are trying to get into our dimension.
Yeah.
And the result of them trying to get into our dimension, they come off like ghosts.
Yeah.
So they go to these places where someone is reporting their house to be haunted, and it turns out to be, one of these entities. And so it has a Lovecraftian feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But David McCallum is kind of a grumpy character, and Joanna Lumley is like, she's the soft part of the duo.
And they're kind of like interdimensional police.
Yes.
And they're kind of like, they kind of come from the elements. That's why it's
it's strange. You got to just watch it to figure it out. But,
it's good though.
That show is wonderful. And I would like to recommend another show in a similar vein called The Omega Factor, which was put out in 1979. It's a little known show, especially in America, but it concerns Department 7. And Department 7 is this agency that investigates paranormal phenomena and a lot of stuff with like the human mind and psychic powers. And there's this guy, this journalist, Tom Crane, played by James Hazeldine, and they bring him into the group. And so they investigate all these different happenings. And it's got kind of a X-Files feel to it, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a little more of an obscure show. I think more people remember Sapphire and Steel, but that's a great one. You can still find it on video, and I'm sure if you ordered it on eBay, it might come before the end of all civilization.
Right.
Fingers crossed. So yeah, those are 2 for you. Larry?
It's interesting. If you find yourself stuck at home, there's a lot that you can do, whether it be cleaning up your collection, putting it inside of new cases, or watching videos. I think we've given a lot of different ideas as to what you could do if you're stuck at home.
Well, all in all, I think that this was a very successful experiment, and I'm happy that we could pull this off.
Yes, but I do look forward to when we can get together again and be all together and be able to clink glasses all together.
Well, since we can't do that physically, let's do it virtually. How about a toast?
All right.
To the Quarantine Funhouse.
Hey!
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out.
Guys, we have a new review.
Cool.
Ooh.
This comes from Percasso, who
Cool.
writes,
Ooh.
I started listening to this podcast with episode number 162 featuring Dana Gould because, hell yeah, it's Dana Gould. I was hooked. I went back and listened to 3 more episodes that day. And that's a long time to spend with these fellas. Just to give it a fair shot. It was well worth it. It's like hanging with your friends and discussing the things you enjoy. There's plenty of info, scoops, and trivia to satisfy the most pedantic of horror nerds. The hosts are lighthearted and amiable. The runtime may appear daunting, but it moves along briskly. I didn't even notice the time. All in all, it's a great conversation about horror media. Huzzah, and many kudos upon you fellas.
Nice.
Hey. Oh,
Thanks
that's
so much.
nice. Thank you so much for that
Much
review.
appreciated. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and wow, 3 episodes, our episodes in one day. That's your day.
That's a binge.
I don't know if I could sit through three
I-
sessions with you guys in a row.
But
Well,
Good
it all
work.
depends on what episodes they are.
That's true.
We've got some great episodes.
yes, we
Right.
do. Yes, we
As a
do.
matter of fact, most of our episodes are pretty
Yeah.
great.
Yes, they are. Of course. I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
And now it's time for our now famous Monster Party Patreon raffle.
Hey.
Oh, raffle!
All
Now,
right.
the Patreon raffle, you have to become a Patreon member to be part of this raffle, which is a very easy thing to do. All you got to do is just go to patreon.com and you search for Monster Party, you click join, and then you follow the instructions, and then you will not only get bonus audio, bonus video, pictures. The video isn't up yet, but it's coming.
Yes.
Over time, we're going to try to offer as many cool different things
Yes.
as we can. And like, we've got some vintage video that we've got lined up, and it's going to be a good time for everyone.
A
So
smorgasbord of goodness.
that's true. So please join Patreon. And as promised, we have a Patreon raffle only for Patreon members. And we're going to do that right now.
All right.
And
now.
with this raffle, you can win valuable prizes. And we're different from most raffles that have just one standard thing that they're raffling off. But with this raffle, we offer you a box of items that is tailor-made to your likes. So you will be getting something that is special to who you are.
Cool.
Because
Oh
that's
my
how much we
gosh.
love you.
I mean,
That's right.
it's like for less than a couple cups of coffee. a month.
$5 is all
That's
it costs
nothing.
to become part of this.
I spend
Right.
more money on gum every month.
And Larry does chew a very high quality brand of gum
That's right.
from Zurich, I believe.
But it's nothing, and we give you so much for so little.
You will be very happy with the stuff that we send you.
Yes.
Our past 2 raffle winners have nothing but good things to say.
Oh, they've been
That's right.
blown away.
Yes. So why don't we get to this raffle?
yes.
Okay.
And so normally we have this system where
We kind of
each of
share
us
the
does a specific
responsibilities.
thing to pick the
Right.
winner.
Right.
So I'm going to have you guys prompt me. I'm going to shake the pumpkin that has all the names of the
Okay.
people who are involved in the raffle.
Okay.
John, I want you to stop me from shaking at one point.
Okay. Because you're
James?
drinking too much.
I want you to stop me when I'm
Rummaging.
digging
for the
around for a name. And
Right.
then Larry, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna enthusiastically say go.
Say,
Okay.
read the name.
I like it.
Read the name.
I love it.
Pull the string.
Okay. So let's do it, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to shake it up.
All right. Keep shaking. Keep shaking. Keep shaking for like another 10 minutes.
No,
All right,
not 10
now
minutes.
stop now.
Okay.
Pull the name. Pull the name.
I can only do it when James asks me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Matt, insert hand into pumpkin.
Okay. So I'm rummaging around.
Rummage, rummage,
Yeah.
rummage. Okay, pick a name.
Okay.
Pull out the name.
Now, Larry,
Read the name.
Frank G.
Frank G.
Frank G.
Frank, you
Frank.
are a winner.
Frank G, you are the winner of the Monster Party Patreon raffle. We will be in touch with you or when you've learn of your winning,
Yes.
maybe you can get in touch with us and tell us
your
the
life
type of
is now
things that you
complete.
like.
Congratulations.
What'd you say, Sean?
Your life is now complete. Frank.
Now, see, now
You
quarantine
can
is
die a
nothing.
happy man. Yes.
A pandemic means nothing compared to this. You are a
Right.
winner.
Right.
And we have a lot of stuff from Biff Bang Pow Toys. Jason Lindsay and Biff Bang Pow have donated some wonderful prizes to us. So if you like Kiss, The Big Bang Theory, Venture Brothers, Adventure Time, Star Trek, let us know and we will put together a nice package for you. But
Cool.
even if you don't like those things, we've got stuff for you. So
We
do
want to
not
know.
worry.
We want to know what you like.
Yes. So there you go. Congratulations once
Awesome.
again to Frank G.
Congratulations, Frank G.
And let's all welcome some recent Patreon patrons
Cool.
who are now part of the Monster Party family, true Monster Partiers. Let's welcome Robert,
Hey, Robert.
Right.
Robert.
David Moran,
David.
Cool.
David Select,
David, thank you.
Ryan Davis,
Welcome,
Yay.
Ryan.
Brian.
and Ben Metty.
Ben,
All right, Ben.
thanks. You're going to love this.
So there you are. There you have it.
So for other listeners, if you want to be like Ben and the others that we've mentioned, you should sign up for Patreon.
You'll be glad you did.
And we want to remind our listeners that you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV, our Twitter handle at Monster Party HQ, Instagram is also Monster Party HQ. On whatever platform you're listening to us, please write a review. We will read it on the air. And we want to thank all of our listeners who reached out just to check in, see how we're doing. We really
Yes.
appreciate it. And we hope you're
Yes.
all doing well and safe too.
Absolutely.
And I think all of us at Monster Party want to throw that out, that please, everybody, do everything you're supposed to do to stay safe and take care of yourselves and
Yeah.
don't take any chances and use all that Purell. Don't use too much toilet paper.
It's a weird situation, guys. We're going through something that's, many of us, never experienced anything like this, and it's
Oh, no.
bizarre, but just stay level-headed and optimistic and, and look, listen to Monster Party. We'll get you
Yes.
through this.
Us monster kids will get through this together.
Yes.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Stay inside. It could be fun.
Yeah, I see the recording thing just came on.
Okay. And so just so we can get a little banter in
Okay,
before
yeah.
we do our
Banter.
episode
Banter.
proper.
Wait, where did
Peas and carrots. Peas and carrots.
Where did
Peas and
James
carrots.
go?
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
You're not
Remember that
seeing
one?
me?
Oh, there
Yeah,
you
I see
are.
it. I see him.
Okay.
And I can click.
Oh, I see. I see.
What's
Now,
happening?
guys,
Yes.
I'm going to run and do one quick thing,
Okay.
and I'll be right back, and we can do this. But
I
Sounds
guess-
good.
I guess on the top I can see 3 people at a time. So
Oh, really? I see all 4.
you
That's
do?
weird. Yeah.
yeah, me too.
Maybe
Larry,
you
this little
expand-
arrow.
expand that field or something somehow. Oh yeah, is there an arrow? I
There
don't have
is.
that, but-
Let's see. Oh, there we go. There we
All
go.
right.
There we go.
There we go. Hey. Oh, wow.
Well-
No. That's
What
too
happened?
I don't like that one.
What happened?
Oh. No, nothing. I like
Did you
to
see
see
a devil?
Don't scare me like that.
Was there a
You know what?
flash of the Satan on the screen?
No. Oh, yes, it was, and the devil came in a can
Cool.
from the lovely Angela McNichols.
Yes, love
Yeah.
it.
Love her.
I'm really torn because I still want to try that, but I don't want to open it.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, I
open
don't
I
it.
know.
open it.
I want to make
I
order other ones so I could try one. You know.
She should send us another 4.
Yeah.
Or here's what we can do. She can send us just 2, and
Yeah.
we open the 2 and we all sample it.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like because she normally sends us 2 things.
We can all
So, you know,
sample
like-
it and give each other the coronavirus. Sure, let's do that.
No, not drink it out of the actual can. We take the can, open it up, pour it in little glasses. Okay.
Okay.
How about just 1?
Yeah.
You should send us just one.
Yeah.
And then take the one, pour it in 4 little glasses, and we all go, and then either we like it or we don't like it.
That's true.
So, yes. So, speaking of jigglers, guys, I had this little jiggler for the longest time.
Cool.
It's a lobster. Look at him.
Cool.
And I just, he took a shower with me today, and I cleaned him up.
Wow.
And he's like, at first I thought, look, it's Ibra, but it's not really Ibra.
Yeah.
Because
it's the lobsters. It's the gorgons from Teenagers from Outer Space.
Yeah. That's cool. But getting back to this, if you look at this pterodactyl,
that's cool.
He is in perfect shape. This pterodactyl, man, I played with this pterodactyl. It really fell apart back
I
in
remember.
1972, 73, maybe even earlier than that. And to find one, hi, Monster Party. It's just great. But look at the color. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, that's cool.
Beautiful. Anyway, but what's funny about that is I guess they made Ben Cooper that made those. They also made some other dinosaurs, which I don't remember seeing. There was a Tyrannosaurus Rex, I think a sailback dinosaur, and then there was.
So Ben Cooper made the jigglers?
Yeah, they made. They're one company that made some jigglers, and then there were other companies that. I guess someone said that there was AHI Azrak Hamway made some too.
Mm-hmm.
What's weird is like something like this platypus.
I like that. Cool.
Yeah,
there's never been like a platypus monster, has there, in any film?
No, and
there should be.
And it's funny because the platypus is a very strange and unique creature.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I come back into this and I hear the platypus is a strange and unique creature.
He has a beaver tail,
cool.
a duck bill,
cool,
and he's rubbery. Well, this is
because he's made of rubber.
He's
not rubbery. He's rubber.
Hong Kong.
What do they eat? What do platypuses eat?
Other rubber things? Rubber plants.
Yeah.
All right. This is great.
But make sure your phone.
I am worried about you, Larry.
Don't worry about me.
I'm worried not for the usual reasons, for example, but now that you're employed again, how much are these things costing you?
Yeah, you gotta be easy on the. Catch up with your debt.
Oh yes.
Right?
Well, first of all, these things that I've showed you, these things, this and this, those things I've had. It was just this thing.
Yeah, so that was only like a quick $1,000 that cost, right?
No.
Okay.
Let me guess.
200.
75.
200.
It was less than what Sean said and more than what Matt said. So, we're not here to talk about how much certain things cost.
Next episode.
You know what? Because investing in rubber goods, unless you plan on
especially during this crisis,
unless you planned on hollowing them out and wearing them as gloves.
Sure.
Okay, it's funny.
Probably not a good investment.
It's funny that you bring up the subject of rubber. Just really quickly. Do you guys remember? I talked to you guys about this famous Wolfman mask, this Dawn Post Wolfman mask called the A800 line that I wanted.
I love this story. Go ahead.
Yeah, really quickly. Well,
picture.
No. I was able to get one, but it was like a recast. Daniel Roebuck had recast it, and it's made out of a thicker rubber or latex, and it's beautifully painted. Right now, and the funny thing is, it's such a rare mask. It's so rare. Right now, there's one on eBay, and it's fallen apart. It's deteriorated. It's original. It's at like $500 right now, and it's just going to go up. It's kind of crazy.
It's going to go up until someone buys it, and then in 10 years, when all those people have died off who buy things like that, it's going to be worth nothing.
However, if the person who buys it protects it by doing doing the foam filling, and then they could actually give it to a mask expert who can kind of seal up the cracks and kind of touch it up a little bit. It would be great, but I'm not going to do that.
Don't get choked up.
All right, so wait, what the fuck is the topic? Oh yeah, quarantine funhouse.
Quarantine funhouse.
You should know.
And maybe a couple quarantine fun houses, part 2, 3, and 4 might be happening. Who knows?
Oh God, guys,
don't rule it out. That's for sure.
You can hear me now, right?
Yeah,
I can.
Okay, I moved the mic a little closer to my face. That's why I'm so big right here.
It sounds the same. It pretty much sounds the same, though.
Does it really? Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't sound bad. Everything sounds to me roughly the same.
Yeah. And again, compared to so many other podcasts, this is going to be fine.
Right. Okay. Great.
I am experiencing some dropout on my end. I don't know if you're
audio,
like
occasionally
connection is unstable, even though I've got like full bars. So I don't know why. Maybe it's the time of day and the bandwidth. I don't know.
Damn it, Venice.
I guess the question is,
we're gonna do our best.
But Matt, like, do you think, like, if you hear dropouts, does that mean it's coming from the source of the recording? Like, how will we know?
I think I'll know, because I know.
Okay.
I know the only thing I don't really get that clear of an idea of is my own voice quality.
Well, yeah, because like I think all of us should be cognizant. Like, if we ever hear any weird feedback like that, like say stop and redo that, right? Because you heard that feedback on the recording from last night, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we should just be ready to do that.
And so, James, if you drop out in the middle of something important, we can always say, hey, try it again, because chances are the next time you say it, you won't drop out.
Yeah, make sure you speak up.
The law of averages.
Right.
For the most part, it's okay, but it could happen during the.
Okay.
Well, again, we're not curing COVID-19 here, so
yes, we are.
A podcast. All right, shall we start this?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right.
Phone's on vibrate. Right?
Yeah, all volumes down. Everything's good.
You know, what's funny is I told my older brother's trying to get all the family together via Zoom tonight, and I said, "Hey, it's funny. I'm recording a show on Zoom, so I'm going to be Mr. Zoom."
Mr. Zoom, yeah. You're going to zoom.
That's right.
Zoom.
Boy, that's a show that doesn't hold up.
Now, again, if we... it didn't hold up then.
I
tried to get into it. I could never get into it.
As a kid, the only reason was there was a cute Asian girl.
Yeah, I remember that. But what's the one, the new zoo review I watched more?
Right. That was a little more surreal.
Yeah,
and then
that's why.
Emmy Jo
was
there just to get me through.
She was the helper.
The transition between childhood and puberty.
That's right.
It was
helper.
Remember it was Doug and his helper Emmy Jo with
his
Freddie,
helper,
Charlie, Henrietta. Do you remember that? We have fun learning what we don't know.
I'll bet you as soon as they said cut and it's in the can, that then that same studio they just started everything up again and it was like a porn.
No.
There are outtakes.
Porn in the 70s?
There are some
outtakes.
There are some outtakes where they get a little crazy.
Really?
Where
they were
starting coke and stuff.
Yeah, I used to go to these I used to go to this midnight show back in New York, and one of the little clips that they showed, it was just like a random assortment of all these crazy, like Bambi Meets Godzilla and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of them was an outtake from New Zoo Review, where I swear that Freddie the Frog was pretending to butt fuck one of the other cast members.
I remember that. I remember that blooper.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That's horrible.
You do?
Freddie the Frog.
Yeah.
That's horrible? Why is that horrible?
It's just,
Porky the Pig. There was one where Porky the Pig swore.
Yeah, that's right.
Swore, but
Mel Blanc did the whole stuttering thing and then swore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you have, Larry, I need to understand something. What is wrong with you? Why, you go from you're working at Playboy to then somebody uses the F word because, they're having some fun in between takes of the New Zoo Review, and that's a giant problem for you.
Okay, well, see, here's the issue. The issue is, it's like, I don't mind if you're going to be, if you're going to do Pulp Fiction and you have fucked through the whole thing, that's fine. But if you only have it every once in a while, it's like, can't you think of something more creative to use?
A creative blooper?
Oh, well.
It wasn't once in a while. It was once. It was probably the only time that
They're having a little fun.
Right.
It was random.
They're shaking things up a bit.
No. They're not shaking anything up. They are shooting a show, and then when they weren't shooting the show, they did a little funny thing for the Christmas reel where Freddie swore.
Now, don't get me started on what happened with the banana splits after shooting. Who knows?
Is there a banana splits one?
Probably somewhere.
Wow.
I'd love to see that though.
Yeah.
Let's start this thing before
let's do it. Before
we all go into another tirade.
Yes.
Or did you guys want me to tell you about this?
You can do that. Now I know what it is.
Yeah.
Good.
James is out. James is
done. We're done. Okay. James has the virus.
James is back.
Now he's back. Okay.
You disappeared for a second, James.
Yeah, your video disappeared.
Yeah.
I got knocked out for a minute. I had to push back in.
Oh,
okay. All right.
This
is going to be fun.
You pushed back in. You pushed and pushed back in.
So I had to. Now, we're not under the constraint of like 45 minutes and then.
No.
Okay, good.
I've set this for 3 hours.
5 hours. Let's go.
I've set this for 3 hours, but what Josh told me is that it'll never stop you.
Okay, cool.
It's more of a scheduling thing. So I would send this and it would go to your Google Docs or whatever, your calendar, and you would know how long you were expected to be doing this.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Cool.
So let's do this. Shall we?
Do it. Yep.
Moment of silence.
Okay.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a sinister, socially distanced episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party!
Don't scream too loud because you'll overwhelm this fragile system that we're working with.
I think it blipped out for a second. We should redo that.
Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, and you're right. Be a little subtle with the monster.
And so go monster. Let's just do low sound. Yeah. So that's a big note right there, which is no big screaming.
Right.
We're gonna have to tamp down our emotions.
Although in the moment, if there's like an argument and in the moment it goes out, it might be kind of funny. It's like,
well, yeah. Well, it'll also we could also do like instead of big voices, we could be like, I'm so
that's true.
Yeah. Everybody becomes a little Clint Eastwood.
Right.
We'll do little voices.
Okay, let's start this again, okay?
All right.
Greetings, everyone. And welcome to a very sinister, socially distanced episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party. Hey, James, you want to join in with the monster parties? Oh, this is going to go well. He's just frozen.
I'm getting major breakup. Can you guys hear me?
No,
we couldn't for a while there.
Sorry, guys. I didn't have any of these issues last night.
You're just frozen.
Let's do one more time.
One more time. Maybe we can combine the 3 takes.
And then just what will happen? Okay, first of all, that's not going to happen, Sean.
I'm just kidding.
You combine them.
Yeah, I'll do that.
But so James, what we're going to do is like if you crap out on us, like right now you're totally frozen on us. It's a great picture, by the way. But if you crap out on us, just try to come back and we'll just assume that you're there, but you'll know when you are not coming through, right? James?
Uh-oh. Great. He's coming back. He's coming back in. Is this recording? Because this could be funny. Who has bloopers?
It's all recording.
James, you're back.
James.
Are you there?
I can't tell. This is like the Corbomite maneuver.
Oh my God.
Hi, James. You back?
It's like the monolith monster's got him. He's frozen like a stone.
James, are you back?
Or from the Gorgon.
Yeah.
Remember that?
He's unstuck in time.
I am somewhat back. I'm still getting breakup. I reset my Wi-Fi and
that's a good idea. Let's just go.
8 hours later.
Where are you at now? Oh, okay, no, he's crossed his fingers. Okay.
James, you look frozen. You look like that boy at the moment.
It's actually it's a very sweet shot of him.
It is. It actually is.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, James?
This better not be the last picture that we see of James ever.
Venice has been blown from the face of the earth.
Yeah.